Well, since we're being so honest, if Sarah really was such a good friend, she needs to have accountability for the voice note you played us.
What voice note was that?
Oh, we're going there?
Okay, you wanna go there? Okay, great.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Dubai, Season 2, Episode 8. And before we get into it, let me start off by saying that this was a good episode, and it's clear that this trip was where things went south for Ayan and Lisa, because that final dinner scene had me shook. Ayan, you deserve everything that comes to you, because why would you do that? Now, Brooks, the way I'm about to drag you, because you continue to get on my last nerves. And Miss Sarah, I clocked your tea a long time ago, so I really feel vindicated by calling you fake. Because the way you showed your hand, and you admitted on a voice note, I might add, that you don't even care for Brooks, but yet you've been smiling in her face, acting like you're her defender and her protector. But now the truth has come out and you're sitting there looking stupid. But y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right on into it, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this episode with Caroline Stanbury and Sergio in bed, and of course they're discussing all the drama that went down the night before at their housewarming. So they're obviously upset. And Stanbury says, I was so happy and excited to show our friends our new home. It's gorgeous, it's stunning. And then you have Brooks walking in with Sage. Now, like I said in last week's recap, the minute Caroline Brooks had walked herself into my home with Sage and an uninvited guest, and then on top of that, she had the audacity to walk in there empty-handed. No, ma'am. And Caroline Brooks, I plan on really getting on you later on, because the way you brag and you try to act as if you're so moneyed, you display some of the tackiest of behaviors. But again, we'll talk about that later on. So Sergio jumps in and he says, honey, I don't want to talk about it. That was such a mess. They were behaving like children. And now Stanbury interjects and says, honestly, my kids behave better than that. So now Stanbury continues on by adding that Brooke's sole mission was to come to her house to start drama. And I agree wholeheartedly. I think that Brooks is a miserable person. I think that Brooks is somebody who can't function unless there's chaos, confusion, and strife. I believe that if it's not about Caroline Brooks, she wants to steal the moment. And if that means causing a fight, acting out, she'll do that. And just a quick side note, I said it before, but I really believe that Caroline Brooks is very jealous-hearted, and part of being a jealous person is wanting to steal somebody else's moment. Think about how you have jealous boyfriends, jealous friends, jealous relatives. Every time the spotlight's on you, they find a way to ruin it, whether it's causing drama, saying a very nasty remark, maybe they throw a fit just to get all eyes on them. That's jealousy. Because again, what Brooks was doing at that housewarming, it reeked of jealousy and attention seeking. So now Stanbury points out that apparently they were all fighting in her driveway. Then she apologizes to her neighbors. And I said, honestly speaking, they all need to be happy and very blessed and thankful that the police did not show up and arrest them, because we all know that Dubai does not play. So Stanbury goes on to say that they all owe her an apology, but will she ever get one? No. Then she says, I'm supposed to eat, pray, and party in Bali with these crazy people. Now I have anxiety about going. So now she jokes around about how this will be the first trip she's ever taken without Sergio. Now we know that Sergio is attached to Caroline Stanbury. He is obsessed with her. And while I love to see it, I do feel like it is a tad bit too much at times. Like, Sergio is going to be okay. Now, another quick side note. I don't know if it's just me. I never thought that I would say this, but Caroline Stanbury has low-key been growing on me this season. I'm actually finding her likable. I thought that she was so nasty and so cold and so rude when she was on Ladies of London. And then last season of Dubai, I didn't really care for her too much. But this season, I'm low-key liking her a lot. So now we jump to a few short scenes with all the ladies packing. And we start off with Lisa. Lisa's in her closet. We see her husband Rich walk in, and she makes a joke about how she's not sure if everybody's going to show up for the trip because of the drama that went down at Caroline and Sergio's housewarming. So her husband was like, wait, it was that bad? She's like, babe, it was crazy. So now we see Lisa in her confessional, and she says it's already bad enough watching a man yell at a woman, but here in Dubai, men don't even address women like that. And then on top of it being an Islamic country, men hold women in high regard and treat them like queens. So to see Rafi act like that, it was just very jarring. Now, Lisa really had me screaming when she went on to say, listen, babe, it was just really ghetto. So now we cut to Talene at home. She's packing, and she's also talking to her husband, Rafi. She's like, hey, babe, how are you doing? And Rafi says he feels so embarrassed about what happened last night. Then he goes on to say how he's a patient person, he's very calm, so for him to act out of character like that, he's really upset. So Talene agrees, and she adds that since Brooks knows her so well, she knows exactly how to get under her skin, and then she says, in all the years that we've known each other, I've never seen this side of her. Now she goes on to add how at Ayan's event the other day, she actually felt like Caroline Brooks' apology was genuine, and to find out that it wasn't and that she called her a beggar, that hurt. Now Talene goes on to add that hearing Brooks say that she begged her to be on the show really crushed her because that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, like I said in my last recap, honestly, Talene, the read fell flat in my opinion, because even if you did beg to be on the Housewives, 90% of the Housewives have begged to be on the show, especially the newcomers. So I wouldn't even feel so bad about it. Yes, it's not the best to be called a beggar, but at the end of the day, whether or not you did beg to be on the show, you're on the show now. That's all that matters. It is what it is, and I'm pretty sure that Caroline Brooks begged somebody to be on the show herself. So now Talene goes on to add that her friendship with Brooks has always been in a bubble. It's always been just her and Brooks, and how they've never had a friendship with other girls. Now, let me say this from personal experience, right? Again, my opinion, my viewpoint, but it's easier to maintain one-on-one friendships versus a friendship in a whole group. For some reason, in a friendship group, things always tend to go left. Maybe I'm paranoid, maybe I'm jaded, I probably am. You guys know some of my stories, but I have noticed that it's easier to have one-on-one friendships because the minute you guys get into a friendship group, that's when things, for some odd reason, go south. But let me also add this. I honestly feel like Brooks expected Talene to just be up under her and be her lapdog and not get close to anybody else. I feel like Brooks is very territorial, on top of jealous, on top of controlling. And if she can't control you, especially in this friendship setting, then she's upset. That's what I think the real issue is behind her being so angry at Talene. So now Talene gets emotional and she's like, honestly, I don't even know if I want to go to Bali now. And her husband said, look, you're going to be fine, have fun, just don't engage, ignore her, pay her dust. And I said, now Talene, whether or not you beg to be on this show, you're on the show now. So sis, suck it up. Put a smile on your face and collect your check. Do not allow Brooks to run you off where you miss out on 3 or 4 episodes because you chose not to go. And also, Talene, I said not the same woman who was sitting up there yelling and screaming and cursing at Brooks last week, and then you were puffing on that cigarette. So I said, girl, I don't want to see all these tears about, oh my gosh, I'm just so afraid, I don't know what to do. You'll be just fine. So now we jump to another short scene with Brooks at home. She's with her housekeeper in her closet, and she's packing for the trip. So we see her FaceTime her new best friend, Sarah, and she says, hey girl, I was just about to text you and tell you that I don't want to go anymore. I said, Brooks, do us all a favor, don't go. Because I don't want to deal with your antics for the next 3 or 4 episodes on this trip being obnoxious and insufferable. So Brooks goes on and on about how betrayed she feels, how she brought Talene and her circle of friends, and Talene is now sipping on Stanbury's Kool-Aid. Then she goes on to add how Talene turned her back on her. I don't feel like Brooks is justified in being upset. I think this is very immature, and I'm not seeing Talene as this major social climber. And trust me, y'all, I have a good judge of character, and I know what social climbing looks like, especially being a content creator. I see social climbing firsthand. We could do a whole video about that alone. But I don't see her as a social climber. I just think that Talene wants to make other friends besides Caroline Brooks. That's all I see. I'm not seeing Talene doing anything that's so egregious that warrants this response from Brooks. Again, I think that Brooks is territorial and controlling, and she wants to make sure that Talene is just her friend and her friend only. I think that she was banking on Talene not making any other relationships in this group. Brooke seems to get very upset when she's not in the middle of a friendship. When she's not putting a wedge between people, she's most at peace. Because let's go back to last season. Brooks was ecstatic at how there were rifts in the friendship group, and she was the only one getting along with everybody, and she was in the middle instigating, stirring up mess. Remember how Ayan and Stanbury could not stand each other? That was because Brooks was sitting up there feeding each one lies about, oh yeah girl, she's saying that about you, and oh yeah girl, she's saying that about you. That's why they weren't getting along. And now that Ayan and Stanbury have reconciled and they're cool now, Brooke seems to be upset. And she gets irritated when people make up and move on. Because it makes no sense to me, and I find it quite irrational that she is angry that Talene and Stanbury have been able to move on. I don't understand why Brooks feels like Talene was supposed to hold a grudge because Stanbury made a few comments about her vagina back in episode 1. Talene made it clear that her and Stanbury worked out their issues, it wasn't that deep, and they're cool again. So why is Brooke so pressed? Shouldn't you be happy to see your two friends getting along? But I'm just not buying this whole angle of Talene came in this group and she betrayed me and she's a social climber and she used me for my contacts. I'm not buying that. And Brooke, stop acting like you have so many friends, because outside of the show, it seems like all your friends are people who work for you, because we saw you show up to those events with your nail tech, your hairstylist. So I don't think that you have any real friends unless you're paying them. So girl, not too much trying to act like Talene is out here stealing friends. What friends do you have? And it's no shade, Miss Mamas, but I'm just saying, Sarah's not trying to hear it. She says, regardless of all the BS, I need you guys to both open up your hearts and let's have a good time. So now Brooke says, well, how can I have fun knowing that a fake-ass bitch is going to be on the island? I said, okay, Brooks. I said, oh my gosh, you need to grow up. So now we jump to the day of the trip. Everybody's at the airport. And when I tell y'all, Sergio had me fooled, because when he pulled up to meet them and he was like, hey girls, I'm coming too. And Stanbury was like, yeah, he's coming. And Ayan said, I'm pissed. This is a girls' trip. Are you serious right now? And they were all like, Sergio, stop playing. So then he's like, you know what? I'm just playing. I'm actually going to Spain, but you guys have fun. Now, I'm not going to hold you, but there was a small part of me that felt like Sergio was going to be on that trip with them. So at this point, they're checking in, and now Sarah's like, where's Brooks? I haven't heard from her. I've been texting her, like, where is she? And now she voices that she's concerned. So now Lisa says, what if she misses her flight? Like, she's still not here. And Caroline Stanbury was me. She says, I'm not worried about Brooks. She's just fine. I'm not buying this. It's a whole stunt and production. Like, I really don't care. I said, exactly. Because I would have said, this is another stunt and show. It's pure theatrics. Brooks just wants attention. So we see them take off. They're in first class. And their flight was at 1:45 a.m. And I had no idea that Bali was such a long flight from Dubai. For some reason, I thought that Dubai to Bali was maybe like 2 or 3 hours max. Again, don't ask me why I thought that. I just thought that. But we see 9 hours later, and it's 6:24 p.m. in Bali. and it's only 2:24 p.m. back in Dubai. But they're in the vans on their way to the hotel, and we hear them all talking about Brooks. So Sarah's like, I'm actually worried right now. Even Ayan says that she's worried. And Stanbury is still not here for it. She says, girl, please. I know good and well that when she left my housewarming party the other night, she did not drop dead. She's alive and well. She's breathing. She's just fine. It's another stunt. It's another show. Like I said earlier, I think that Brooks is somebody who just craves attention. So if this means being dramatic, missing her first class flight to have them all worried about her, then so be it. I don't really care for cheap attempts. So I'm like, girl, you could keep this, because I'm not going to sit up here and blow your phone up asking, are you all right? Because I know that it's just another stunt and a cry for attention. So they arrive to the hotel, and the hotel is gorgeous. They're at the Intercontinental Bali. And now they get to Lisa's room, and Lisa's room was stunning. She got the penthouse suite. So she's giving everybody their room keys, and she says, guys, freshen up, get dressed, get ready, because for dinner, I have a private celebrity chef coming to cook for us. Now, I love a late dinner. I think that is chic and fun, especially on a vacation. But at this point, it was already like 11 p.m. by the time they got to the restaurant and sat down. I would have had to have gotten something from room service prior to leaving for dinner, but that's just me. So they sit down, Sarah gets up to make a toast about setting intentions, and I wanted to say, Sarah, sit down, please. Sarah really irks my spirit because everything about her just oozes phony. I don't think that she's authentic or real. I think that it's all an act. I honestly find her to be very self-righteous, very sanctimonious, and very judgmental. But she hides under the guise of, oh no, I'm so spiritual and deep and sweet and so enlightened, when in all reality, she's just as petty as everybody else on this cast. She kind of reminds me of Dr. Jackie from Married to Medicine, where Dr. Jackie shades people, but because she does it with a smile and with a quiet voice, people think that she's so nice and so classy. She's just as messy and petty as Dr. Heavenly and everybody else. So Chef Luca comes out to greet them, and as the first course is coming out, Sarah makes reference to Brooks not being there. She makes a joke saying, should we report a missing child or no? So now Lisa jumps in saying that she actually made a joke about how if they can't resolve their issues, then she hopes that one of them stays home, and it looks like it came true. So now Talene jumps in and says that she actually wanted to resolve things between her and Brooks. Now, Ayan, sometimes it's best to just stay out of things, especially when you weren't there. Ayan tries to be messy, and she says, oh, really? Because I heard that at Stanbury's house, you were chasing Brooks around asking, where's your husband? Talene was not having it. She says, Ayan, don't even go there. What you're doing right now is low. Don't even start. And I said, again, Ayan, you're not involved. You left Stanbury's house early. So why you felt the need to comment is beyond me. So Talene sets the record straight that she did not chase Brooks around. That never happened. And Lisa even jumps in to confirm it. She says, I was there, that did not happen. She was not chasing anybody around. So because Sarah has made it her mission to speak for Brooks, she says, you know what? Since Brooks isn't here right now, let's not talk about it. Let's just drop it. So now the conversation turns to Sarah and her new boyfriend, and they're asking her, has her boyfriend met her parents? And she says, no, not yet. Then Stanbury starts asking if she has any plans on living with her boyfriend before they're married. And Sarah says, no, it's against my religion. We just don't do that. And here's all I have to say about Sarah and this boyfriend storyline. I don't know why, but I'm just not believing it. Something about it feels very disingenuous, very fake. I feel like Sarah is only doing this for a storyline. Are they together present day? Let me know down below. But for some reason, I'm just not believing this whole story about she has this long distance boyfriend, and I don't know. Something about Sarah, like I said, she just seems to have a very phony vibe to me. And one more thing, I thought it was very fast for Sarah to introduce this boyfriend to her son, especially knowing all about Sarah's past, with her 2 ex-husbands and all the trauma that her son has gone through, I don't think that she needs to be introducing any man to her son that quickly. But what do I know? Just my 2 cents. So now they're back at the hotel and they're all in Lisa's room having a great time. They're dancing, just being silly. Caroline says it's like moms go wild. So Stanbury goes on to say that it's crazy how one energy can affect everything. And that's very true. I think that people underestimate the power of energy. If you're around somebody who's negative and depressed and always down, always has a bad word, that's going to affect you along with the rest of the group. If somebody has a very chaotic spirit, they're always in mess, always in drama, always in strife, beefing with somebody, that affects people. So there's a lot to be said about how the group functions when Caroline Brooks is there versus when she's not there. And I said, now, Stanbury, just when you said that, when that doorbell rang and they opened up those doors and it was Brooks, I said, well, damn, party's over. So they all hug Brooks, and now you have Talene saying that she's happy to know that Brooks is alive, but now she is a bit nervous about the rest of the trip. Are they still going to have fun? And Talene, the answer to that is no. So everybody gathers around Brooks to find out why did she miss the flight. Lisa says, we were genuinely concerned. We thought that something happened to you. So Brooks is being so dramatic. And when I tell you, she is milking the moment. She says that she decided hours before the trip, she decided not to go because the stress was just too high for her. But then she slept on it and then woke up and realized that she wanted to go. Then she adds that the drama between her and Talene isn't enough to ruin everybody else's trip. Now, Brooks, I hope you know that your absence was not going to affect anybody but you. I don't know why you're acting like you not being there was going to bring the morale down. They were having a great time without you. Stanbury made it clear that she was more than happy to have you now on the trip. So Brooks is trying to flex, and she says that she flew private. And it's so funny because the ladies flew 8 hours before her and they still got there at the same time. And that's the difference between flying commercial and private. Now I said, okay, you fly private, but yet you're the same woman who shows up to somebody's house empty-handed. Got it. And with an uninvited guest on top of that. Spare me with all the wealth talk when you're out here showing your ass at somebody's house. And can we talk about how Stanbury's confessional shade this season has been on point? I said whoever is writing her reads, they're doing a great job. But she says Brooks is lying. I know good and well that she did not fly private. If anything, she flew strapped to the wing of the plane. So now Brooks orders a round of tequila shots, and I said that's the last thing that Brooks needs, but okay. So they take the shots, and then they're back to dancing, having fun. And now it's around 2 a.m. and Lisa says, guys, it's time for bed. We have to get up early for the Catamaran tomorrow. So now it's the next morning. Everybody's getting ready for the Catamaran. We see Talene getting made up. She's on FaceTime with Rafi, and she's telling him how Brooke showed up late last night. They hugged it out and played nice, but they still need to sit down and talk. So Rafi says, look, don't do it in a group setting. Do that privately. Don't spoil anybody else's time. Just have fun. And I agree. And now we see Brooks getting ready, and Sarah comes to her room. And Sarah says, hey, babe, I'm happy to see you, but next time just text me because I was scared to death that something happened to you. So Brooks is like, well, I couldn't do that. And Sarah's not trying to hear it. So now Brooks is going on and on about how stressed she was and how she plans on addressing the elephant in the room, the issues between her and Talene. So Sarah shares that at dinner last night, they actually did set intentions for Talene and Brooks to resolve their issues. Now you have Brooks talking about, oh, was Talene accountable? And I said, Brooks, you really can't see yourself because why you're trying to place blame on Talene is beyond me. I don't know why Brooks is acting like she's innocent in drama that she's created. Again, I would not have minded Brooke staying home for the entire trip, but the fact that she's here and she's committed to being on her BS, the entirety of the trip, I'm like, Brooks really wears me thin, and that's an understatement. So now the ladies are on the Catamaran, and remember, Brooks is the one who arranged this activity. So Brooks makes a toast, and she throws some shade because it's Brooks. She can't help herself. She says something like, I'm so happy to be here with y'all. I wouldn't want to be here with anybody else. And then she says, well, maybe I would. And obviously that's shade towards Talene since they're in this big fight. So everybody's having fun. We see Lisa and Caroline Stanbury taking pictures. And now we see Ayan and Brooks off to the side. And of course, they're talking about the drama between Brooks and Talene. So Ayan's trying to give Brooks advice about she should talk to Talene. That's been her good friend. And Brooks makes it clear that she'll talk to Talene when she's ready to talk to her, not now. I was getting irritated because personally, if I'm on vacation and we're doing a fun excursion, I'm not going to be sitting up here trying to coach people on how to work out their drama. That's not my issue. I'm not here to be Dr. Phil. I'm here to have fun. So now we see Brooks and Stanbury talking, and I was here for Stanbury. She pretty much let Brooks know that she's not here for this spiritual healing journey that Brooks is on, and how she liked Brooks a lot better before she was on it. And I agree with that because I personally feel like Brooks is not actually trying to heal. I think that she's giving us BS and then pretending like she's healing. But I still think that Brooks is being messy, and now she just has Sarah speaking for her to make her look like she's healing and she's trying to be better. But I'm not buying this whole entire act. I'm not. Now, the way Caroline Stanbury pressed Brooks about that private jet, she said, did you really fly private? And Brooks says, yes, I did. So Stanbury says, really, girl? Because she was not believing it. So Stanbury says, well, who funded the private jet? And Brooks says, oh, don't go there, don't go there. So Stanbury says, girl, I don't even think that you're that good in bed to be getting private planes. So now you have Brooks joking around saying that she can't give Caroline Stanbury any tips until she's divorced and that she's not going to give anybody the blueprint. Whatever blueprint Caroline Brooks has, I don't want it. So now we see Lisa, Sarah, Talene, and Brooks in the water. They're all having fun. Even Brooks and Talene are getting along. Talene says that she's happy to be in Bali with Brooks and she just wants to enjoy this trip with her friend. So as they're in the water, Caroline Stanbury and Ayan are still on the catamaran just talking amongst themselves, and Ayan brings up how she just got the juiciest voice note in her WhatsApp, and we see the flashback where Ayan, Stanbury, and Talene were out at lunch a few weeks ago, and Ayan plays them the voice note, and it's Sarah talking about Brooks and how she pretty much could care less about Brooks. She's not her biggest fan, and they're in shock. So now the ladies are at dinner, and everybody's ordering their entrees and making small talk. Lisa mentions how she has to be up early because she has a Zoom call first thing in the morning, and they're all like, girl, you're gonna work on this trip? And she says, yeah, but I am relaxing at the same time. So now Sarah makes a toast. She says that Lisa did a great job with the food, and Brooks did a great job with the party portion of the trip, and tomorrow is all about prayer and meditation and spirituality, and that's Sarah's lane. Because remember, the theme of this trip is eat, pray, party. Now, I just want to ask this, but I remember back in the day, on the Housewives trips, they would always go to a club, and they would really have a good time. I feel like now on the Housewives trips, the nights end so early, they just do a boat in the daytime and then it's dinner and that's it. And I'm like, where are the days where they would also go out after dinner? Like, can we get some club scenes? Because these trips to me, they're great and all, but they're just lacking something. I don't know. I feel like not enough fun is being had because I love to go out. I love a lounge. I love a club. So I'm just thinking, like, where are the nights where they actually go out after dinner? Is it just me who thinks that? But I feel like back in the OG days, they were always going out. You would hear that they were out till 3 or 4 in the morning. So I'm like, can we bring that back? Because having them just go to dinner and then go back to their rooms is cute, but I want more. So Brooks being messy brings up how on the boat earlier today, Stanbury told her that she finds the whole healing part a bit odd. So of course you have Sarah upset and she says, so do you like the old Caroline Brooks better? Is that what it is? And now you have Lisa interjecting and she says, why do you want your friend to stay in such a toxic pattern? So Stanbury says, look, it's not that. I want to see my friend healed, but this new Caroline Brooks, I'm just not feeling. I don't understand her. Before, Brooks was very upfront, very blunt. I understand that language, but now it seems like Sarah speaks for her. So of course you have Sarah offended, and Stanbury says, no, you speak for her all the time. It's like you're her voice now. And Stanbury goes on to say that Sarah is doing it right now. So Sarah defends herself and says it's not that she speaks for Brooks, it's just that she's able to articulate how Brooks is feeling when Brooks can't get the words out. And then she adds that that's what a friendship is. Here's where things go left, because Stanbury says, okay, you want to play this game? Well, if Sarah were so honest and so accountable, then maybe she can explain why she said what she said in that voice note that you shared with us. So she points to Ayan, and everybody's like, what voice note are you talking about? Ayan is like, damn, I said, girl, I told you, leave well enough alone. You had no right to share that voice note and betray your friend's trust, because now you're sitting up here caught feeling stupid. Ayan knew she effed up. She was like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And Lisa's like, wait, are you talking about the voice note that I sent you? And it was at this moment where Ayan was regretting everything, because the way she kept saying, Lisa, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So Lisa starts going off, and now Brooks interjects, and she's like, what voice note? What did the voice note say? And now Talene jumps in and says, in the voice note, Sarah was saying how she's not your biggest fan. Sarah looked like a deer in headlights. Brooks turns to Sarah and she's like, Sarah, really? What the F is happening right now? And now you have Lisa saying to Ayan how she can't trust her anymore. And that's where we see a to be continued. And that's the end of the episode. Now, like I said, I felt like it was a cute episode, but I am very excited for this next episode because I cannot wait to see how this argument goes down between Caroline Brooks and Sarah and Ayan and Lisa. And I already know that Lisa is livid, because anybody would be. And Ayan, I understand that you felt like you were so close to Stanbury and Talene, but you should have played your cards a bit better. And you should not have played them that voice note. You messed yourself up, sis. There are just certain things where if a friend tells you something in confidence, you have to keep your mouth shut. And the fact that they still don't speak to each other, they're still not friends. I saw in one interview, Lisa was asked if it's possible that they can ever reconcile and be friends again. And Lisa pretty much said no. So I feel like the door just might be permanently closed with them. But I think that it's a real shame that Ayan got caught up. Ayan, you should have kept your mouth shut and not played any voice note. I would have kept that close to the vest, and I would have only exposed that if need be. But I would have talked with Lisa about it, like, hey girl, should we reveal the voice note? Yes or no? But to go behind Lisa's back and tell other people and then they reveal it, a mess. But y'all, that was my recap. Thank you so much for watching. For all my podcast listeners, thank you so much for listening. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.